You're the one that makes nice spaces for me.
No, that was Tom.
Oh,
That was Tom.
you guys don't have to do that.
I think about how nice that is, though.
I love it. I like negative space, so I'm a huge fan of it.
It's a positive negative space.
It's a negative positive.
Banana phone.
All right, here we go. Ready?
Yep.
Well, that didn't work.
What?
I forgot to turn it up. Here we go.
Podcasts about technology in your daily lives from people who like to put pants on frogs and one guy with a trustworthy-looking beard. The Daily Tech News Show with Tom Merritt is brought to you by you and I at dailytechnewsshow.com/donate.
This is the Daily Tech News, and it is Wednesday, July 1st, 2015. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Scott Johnson, DTNS contributor and Chief Frog Pantser. How's it going, Scott Johnson?
Wednesday, and I'm thrilled to be here, stoked to be with you, and looking forward to whatever today may hold.
We have a slam bang lineup of worldwide tech news, always on, including Peter Wells coming to us from the early morning of tomorrow in Australia. How's it going, Peter?
It's going very, very well, Tom. How are you, sir? How are you, Scott?
Doing great. It's good to have you here. What time is it there? It's like 6 a.m. You're a crazy person.
Yeah, 6:32. Well, this is a little bit more worldwide than Apple's version of worldwide, which is New York, LA, and London. So this is a little bit nicer. You know, we've actually
They skipped a hemisphere, didn't they?
Yeah, they seem to miss us quite a bit, but that's okay. We're used to it by now.
Yeah. I mean, at least Brasilia or Johannesburg, if not somewhere in Australia.
Yeah.
But come on.
I don't know.
Well, they
I thought
did
it
put a
would be
New Zealander in charge of the place, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But you know, he's been out of the country for a very long time, so.
Yeah, he has. And by the way, to everyone who pointed out that my pale imitation of Zane Lowe yesterday was in no way a New Zealand accent, believe me. You didn't want to hear me you didn't want to hear me do what I did. You certainly didn't want me to make it worse by me trying to do a Kiwi accent. So,
sure. And they could always expand it. Who knows? Paul Hogan, the DJ, the nighttime DJ, Australian audience. I'm ready for it.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, promise. Not a ton of Apple Music conversation today, but there is some from you guys who wrote in with thoughts about it. We'll get to that later on in the show. We're going to talk about some Minecraft educational opportunities after the headlines. The Verge reports on an update rolling out to Snapchat on Android and iOS today. Among the changes, you no longer have to keep your finger on the screen to view snaps and stories. There are also two new ways to add friends. One called Add Nearby finds anyone else who happens to be looking at the Add Nearby feature while they are in your vicinity. The other lets you use a screenshot of a QR code to add someone, not just pointing your camera at a QR code, but if you have it in your camera roll, you can pull it in as an image. Let's get back to this, though. Peter Wells, you don't have to hold your finger on the Snapchat anymore. That just changes everything.
It does, but they needed to do this for accessibility reasons. You know, they've said that on stage. So, yeah, it is weird when, you know, something that's so kind of, I don't know, is the idea that you always approach an app to changes like this, but, you know, I guess they had to do it. I really like this nearby feature. I think that could be, I work at a university, I could see that location-based stuff becoming pretty big amongst the students we have on campus. Sorry.
Yeah, it's weird. It's funny because the primary mechanism has always been to hold that thing down. But this to me is just one step in many where they've taken to get away from being this little secret image share thing to something much more large and broad. And I think they have to kind of slowly evolve it. You do it all at once and you'll freak out your user base. But I think in a couple of years it will not be anything like the app it used to be, in my opinion.
Well, that's smart.
Yeah, I think so too.
Scott,
yeah.
Does that mean we will see the little what is it? The ghost, the jelly man disappear? Then is that ever going to go away?
I hope so, because it's ugly and dumb. I would.
It's not going anywhere.
It's an ugly icon. Not very well made. So to me, it's like the Reddit logo. One day that logo, out of here, man. That thing is bad.
I do think the nearby feature is cleverly done, where it's not just everyone nearby, so it's not constantly pinging your location. It's only when you're in that feature, which means you kind of have to be talking like, oh, hey, what are you on Snapchat? Well, hold on, I'll just launch nearby, you launch nearby, and then I'll find you easily.
Yeah, that stuff's kind of cool.
Yeah. Or if you're bored enough to be in that menu, then maybe you'll see someone who's
You're
also
obviously
bored enough.
looking for friends. Yeah.
Yeah, really bored. Fortune is reporting Facebook changed its logo. What? Did anybody notice? I did, because I'm a typography nerd. But anyway, the A in Facebook is now a simpler single-story A. The letters are slimmer. There's more white space. It's basically a different font if you just want to look at it in a very simple way. Facebook apparently wanted to modernize the logo and make it more suitable for viewing on mobile.
And now it sinks in that you guys were trying to transition to this story when you were talking about changing.
Ding! Got it right.
I'm slow.
Well, we learned from the master, Tom.
Yeah.
The change is funny because if you hold the old logo up to the new logo, and if you look at them separately, you're not even thinking about it. It's no big deal. But those two different kinds of A's really stand out if you're comparing them, and now it feels weird to see the old one. So, whatever. Companies make these small changes all the time. Speaking about a small incremental change that no one will notice, this is like, lead story for that. But in typography circles, this sort of thing makes sense, and I think it's fine. Good on them.
Recode reports Facebook is offering a few dozen partners 55% of revenue from ads shown next to certain videos. That starts this autumn. Selected partners like the NBA or Funny or Die will be able to make money off videos featured in a new area called suggested videos. It's kind of like a news feed for videos. Ads in the suggested video feed are independent. They're not pre-rolls, but they are autoplay. So as you scroll past them, they start playing. And the feature comes to iOS within weeks, Android on the web in a few months. The revenue from a particular ad would be split up to whatever videos you watched in the same part of the feed, so it could be split amongst various videos. Everyone's, I think, rightly considering this a shot against YouTube, or at least Facebook's way of trying to get a little of that ad money that YouTube gets. But I don't know that it's exact. I think it's a clear difference of approach from YouTube. A, because it's going after high-level partners at the beginning, and B, because I think it's less intrusive than a pre-roll, frankly.
Yeah, my prediction is this. And Peter, I want you to argue this if you think I'm wrong, but my prediction is they'll roll this out. Everyone on Facebook will freak out for about 7 days and say they're going to quit, they're going to go somewhere else, they're going to have a big canary, and then everyone will stop talking about it. They will have stayed on Facebook, and no one will talk about it again.
See, I will argue. I don't even think people will freak out about this, just because I've got to hand it to Justin Robert Young, actually, that I cannot believe that Facebook pulled off autoplay video and made it work. I mean, I know I spend more time on Facebook these days. I'm not a huge Facebook fan myself, but I do spend more time these days, and I will sit and watch silently as that video starts as I'm scrolling through my feed. And I've watched stuff that I would never normally have clicked on in the past. It's just intriguing enough in those first few seconds that I'll stop scrolling and I'll sit down and watch that video. So I can see myself, getting right into this. I mean, it's all North American content at this stage, but I could definitely see myself wasting even more time in Facebook, which is exactly what they want.
Well, be ready because it's coming. Mark Gurman of 9 to 5 Mac is at it again with 2 new rumors about the next iPhone. It'll start with the first one here. Gurman's source showed him a picture of the Logic board with Qualcomm's 9x35 Gobi modem platform. That chip is more powerful and efficient and smaller, and the best part is it supports LTE speeds up to 300 megabits per second. There's some rumors, or there's some talk floating around that this also frees up room for additional battery space, but that's sort of an unsourced rumor. Hey, guess what, guys? New iPhone coming, a new chip in it.
So it's probably going to look totally different, right? Well, no. The source image shows a case for the next iPhone almost identical in size and design to the current iPhone 6 and 6 Pluses. Everything else, camera holes, connectors, speakers, mic, all of it's the same. So how do you know it's not just a picture of the current iPhone case? Well, there is different internal mounting structure, and of course, Mark Gurman has trust in his sources. But yeah, it sounds like more power, not more powerful so much as more power efficient. So we have possibly better battery life and faster.
Do you think the battery savings there will be passed on to us? I mean, I know the Samsung Galaxy S6 had a better battery than the S5, but by the time it came out, the battery life was actually worse because it's powering a more powerful screen, more pixels, brighter screen. So, do you think that Apple will just take back all of those battery gains that they find with this new chip?
They tend to be. This is one thing I'll give Apple some big credit for. They've always been pretty straight up about how battery's going to work, and what they usually estimate on stage is typically what we get. And that's not always the case with a lot of manufacturers. They'll promise something, and then there's a lot of sort of asterisks and footnotes about these conditions that somehow this battery was charged or uncharged under, and they've always been pretty straight up on that. I also think we've seen a trend with them as they've gotten further and further down the line that new phones have bigger batteries because the features they're adding to the phone require them, or the chips that are in the phone are less power intensive, so you're saving some stuff there. But I think they know there's a certain threshold, and if it goes any lower than that people are going to be very unhappy. For a brand new phone, there's an expectation of full day use. If they start undercutting that too much, nobody's happy in that ecosystem.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever go under the kind of 10-hour battery, which seems to be what they've been aiming for the last couple of generations. But I'm wondering. I just wonder if when I don't know if you saw Phil Schiller on Gruber's show, but he was mentioning the fact that they are listening to the calls for better battery life and not always going for a thinner phone. And I'm wondering if they're going to take that to heart.
Yeah, well, the 6 Plus battery life is apparently quite good. It's the iPhone 6 battery life that's not terribly different. And I feel like when you're in these talk cycles where you don't change the design, but you put a feature in like Siri or the fingerprint identification, that upping the battery life is another way to maybe encourage people to adopt the new phone.
Yeah, and they often bring that up on stage. Check this out. PC Magazine's reporting something. It's something I'm excited about, actually. YouTube has announced you can now watch live video at 60 frames per second.
Non-live.
Did I say live? I meant non-live. Man, we get emails about that. 60 frames per second in its Android and iOS apps. The higher frame rate was already available on the desktop and has been for a while. Apple TV and PlayStation as well. It's not available for mobile web or third-party apps yet, but important to note, gamers are excited about this because their games will now run at a glorious 60 frames per second. They can record that way, upload it to YouTube, and have it retained that way, and now watched on mobile that way. So very exciting. I'm actually more concerned, or not concerned, but curious if they'll integrate 60 frames per second in their new YouTube Games thing initiative, which launches soon. Twitch offers that now for their live streaming service, so 60 frames per second live would be really nice, but for now it's all on demand.
And this is just YouTube. It's not the gaming app, which is still in beta. Right. So I imagine this is a way of just extending those features to all the apps. It'll be interesting to see if they do bring live streaming to these apps as well. That would be good. And you kind of need it if you want that gaming app to compete with Twitch in the live it's arena. TechCrunch reports a regional court in Austria, not Australia. This court ruled as inadmissible a class action lawsuit brought against Facebook by Max Schrems. The suit claimed Facebook had violated EU's privacy protection laws and data protection laws. The Austrian court said it had no jurisdiction in the case because Facebook's headquarters is in Dublin, and the case should be filed in Ireland. The judge also raised questions about Schrems' status as a private individual, saying that he organizes vocal protests against privacy violators. And so he might be considered a public figure rather than a private citizen, which I thought was odd. Everyone, including Max Schrems, says they're going to appeal the ruling and that they found the argument rather strange.
I wonder what the threshold for that is. Could somebody come after you or me as a podcaster because we have some public footprint and do terrible litigious things to us because...
Well, no, it's the reverse, right? Schrems is trying to say, I'm just a citizen of the EU, and so I can bring a class action lawsuit against Facebook. And the court's saying, I don't know that you're just a citizen of the EU. You seem to be leading an organization. Yeah. So we don't know that you can be a member of the class. In other words, a lawyer can't be a member of the class, right? Because he's a lawyer. He's an officer of the court.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm just thinking if let's say I wanted to do I don't know, I want to sue the people who made it possible for these voles to get in my window well and die, which happened yesterday. So let's say that's something I want to do. Could somebody legally say, well, hold on a minute, you're not just a concerned citizen here, even though in the context of the dead rat I am, but you're a guy who has some public some sort of public, standing or whatever. I just wonder what that threshold is, because at some point you're not, and then you are, and I don't know what that.
It's different in every country, and I don't know in your Vol case. I'm not a lawyer how that would work out. But I could say that I see where they're going with Max Schrems, which is he's trying to bring the case saying I'm one of the class, and they are. I don't think it's right, but they are saying, well, are you one of the class, or are you the guy leading the class? Like, if you ran a competitive vole removal service, then I don't think you could be one of the class.
They'd kick me out of the court for making bad metaphors. That's what.
Yeah, maybe.
Reuters reports India's prime minister, and I'm not going to say his name.
Narendra Modi.
Thank you. Is leading a digital week meant to deliver on a campaign promise to connect 250,000 villages in India by 2019. That is right around the corner in those kinds of contexts. Officials will announce billions of dollars in investment and plans to stop net imports of technology and electronics by 2020. This is all with the aim of creating 100 million jobs. And before this week, the main thing these guys focused on, or the government had been credited for, was bringing Wi-Fi to the Taj Mahal.
Free Wi-Fi, particularly.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So who benefits from that? Tourists and things?
Yeah, anybody who goes to the Taj Mahal and wants to use Wi-Fi, I guess.
Right. Interesting. Nobody lives in there, though, right? I don't know how it goes.
There probably are a few people living in there, but I imagine it's without permission.
All right. Great.
This is Narendra Modi campaigned in part on bringing India, a digital revolution, and so this is the week where he tries to convince people that he meant it.
All right, bring it on.
The Independent reports that ARIN, the administrator for IP addresses in North America, has become the last regional registry to activate its unmet requests policy. That means somebody requested more available IPv4 addresses in a block than they had to give. While ARIN has some smaller blocks of addresses available, the organization is encouraging companies to make use of the IPv4 transfer market, or maybe switch to IPv6 already.
Yeah, what are you guys waiting for? Jeez. The Wrap reports that the full-length trailer for the feature film called Steve Jobs, they're real subtle on that title, was released today. The trailer features Michael Fassbender as Jobs. I was actually led to believe by a little bit of link bait that he was unrecognizable as Michael Fassbender.
So recognizable.
And he is entirely recognizable as freaking Magneto. What the crap are they talking about? Anyway, and Seth Rogen playing Steve Wozniak. He looked real sad. This is a very sad Steve Wozniak.
He was unrecognizable, Scott.
As Steve Wozniak, maybe. Yeah.
It's a little like the Green Hornet. Couldn't figure it out. Anyway, the movie has an October 9th release date. It's directed by Danny Boyle. It's another thing I'll say is this the least Danny Boyle-looking trailer I've ever seen, as Danny Boyle movies go anyway. Written by the Social Network screenwriter Aaron Sorkin, West Wing, Sports Night, all these good shows. No truth to the rumors that Aaron Sorkin's next movie is about the founding of LinkedIn. Come on, Reed. No one's going to want that many emails.
Please make that happen now. I would like that to happen. Did you guys watch the trailer? I watched it and I felt like, oh, okay, so they're telling the Steve Jobs story.
Yeah, but it feels like they're just telling I can't tell what they're telling. I can't tell, all the talk early on was, this will be based in part on what's his name's biography, and was it Walt Simonson's? Yeah, no, who was it?
Walter Isaacson.
Simonson. What am I saying? And I'm not feeling that. I'm feeling less early life, more revolutionary. Come back to the company. Maybe sort of depict him getting booted by. Dumber. I can't think of his name. Actor.
Jeff Daniels?
Jeff Daniels.
Yeah.
Getting booted by him and then sort of forward from that, which is all very interesting to me, but I can't really get honestly, Tom, I don't have a pulse on this. I don't know what to think yet.
Well, it definitely, I think you're right there, Scott, that it feels a hell of a lot more Sorkin than it feels anything like a Danny Boyle pick. But, it's got to be better than the Ashton Kutcher thing. But, I don't think that's a huge hurdle to cross. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm not feeling it right now. Apparently, the hook of the movie is it's actually set between. It's just 3 nights of keynotes. So, it's all going to be putting on a show, which also Sorkin loves to do. So,
but clearly some flashbacks and stuff because he's got different hair in different scenes, and there are people at different ages being depicted or whatever. So yeah. I mean, I really like Sorkin and I really like Danny Boyle. So, and I really like Fassbender. So I feel like all the ingredients are there for something rad. But I don't know, the trailer and all trailers. What are they good for? Sometimes, and maybe it's just not enough to show it here. But I'm nonetheless going to see it and hopefully will enjoy it.
Watch it. Don't watch it. It's entirely up to you.
Like what you want.
New numbers from the Cantor World Panel for the quarter ending in May show Android gaining back 2.8 percentage points in market share in the United States for a total of 64.9%. Credit is given to strong sales of the Samsung Galaxy S6 in that market. Android dropped 2.9 points in Europe, though, at least in the Europe Big Five markets. Cantor puts together Great Britain, Germany, France, Italy, and Spain into one big number bundle. The iPhone 6 topped the charts in all those markets except for Spain. In China, Apple, Huawei, and Xiaomi were the top three in order, all within a half percentage point of each other. So that's a smartphone market over there.
It's interesting to see the shift and to see almost the identical growth here versus drop over there. It's also, you reminded me that if I could just have Tom Merritt tag around with me all day and pronounce all my unpronounceable words, I'd be a better
Xiaomi.
Xiaomi.
I've actually seen.
Go ahead, dude.
We see quite a few Huawei's down here, and that's how we say it down here, by the way, Scott. Huawei. But yes, quite a few Huawei's kicking around in good old Sydney town. But we do have a huge Chinese population, so I have seen, I love the M8, the M7, I think it's called, the Mate 7. Is this gigantic Huawei phone. You can't miss it when you see one on a train.
Let's take a look at some news from you. They come from our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com, as do many other stories within the lineup. Abituela Condulce reports that the FBI is searching for suspects who have been cutting fiber optic cables in California's Bay Area, disrupting internet service as far north as Seattle as a result. Wall Street Journal reports that cables in Livermore, California were severed early Tuesday morning, causing disruption to Microsoft's Azure cloud computing service and to services provided by Hurricane Electric and Wave Broadband.
Whoa. Physical cutting.
There was even shooting in San Jose where they shot out power transformers. This is a weird mystery here.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I had a forecast kicking around in my head about the idea that hacking would stop coming from brilliant coders and we'd start seeing like physical takedown of facility type stuff, infrastructure, and maybe it's all come true. Star Fury Zeta passed along the Ars Technica story that starting today, hundreds of mobile apps will be allowed to be sold in the Google Play and Firefox apps.
Will not be allowed to be
not.
sold. I only correct you because it's entirely the opposite of what you say. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I miss knots every time. Because they have been refused classification. They will not be allowed. It's a pilot program that requires all apps to be rated by the International Age Rating Coalition, or the ARC. ARC for short. Those refused classification cannot be sold in participating app stores. So if you want to play Shroom Tycoon, or is this right, Pop Pet? Or is that, okay. Looks like you'll have to sideload. Yeah, all your dirty apps, man. Got to go another way.
So have you been keeping up on this story? This is your neck of the woods, Peter.
I have, but you're talking to Peter, but I just want to say.
Yeah, because this is in Australia.
Never heard of Pop Pet. Explain that too, Peter.
I don't know about PopPet either, but we do have a classifications board for games that's basically you are refused classification if you go over the R rating, which is anything to do with sex and depictions of sex will kind of make sure a game gets banned in this country. But it's better than we used to have. We used to have quite a few games refuse classification based on violence. That generally doesn't happen anymore. But yeah, interesting to see. This is actually a voluntary. I believe this is a voluntary thing because the government kind of doesn't want to spend the money reviewing games anymore, especially when it comes to a market as big as mobile gaming. That they've realised that it might be better to kind of outsource this to a group that is already doing ratings. So I think this is part of that first step.
You guys were famous for a while for being the country that banned GTA outright, and there were some games you just absolutely could not get there, which created a bunch of black market stuff. It sounds like some of that stuff is softening a little bit. over there?
Well, yeah, actually, GTA we always got through because it was a big enough title that they'd recode it for us. So, yeah, there were certain things. I'm sure you can kind of guess some of the things that were removed from GTA in the past to make it go on sale in Australia. But yeah, we've always managed to somehow get GTA, but it was Left 4 Dead and things like that where the gore was taken out for the Australian market.
Gotcha.
And that is a look at the headlines. All right. If you don't know, Minecraft is huge in education. Nonprofit Common Sense Media, which runs the education review site Graphite, gives Minecraft its highest rating for learning. Teacher Gaming's Minecraft EDU makes a custom edition of Minecraft for classroom use that it sells to schools at a discount. In fact, today, Minecraft EDU, or Teaching Games that makes it, announced Computercraft EDU, which uses programmable turtles to teach computational thinking. You can have the turtle automatically do things and extend some things that you would usually do in Minecraft. Last week, you may have seen kicking around the headline that Youth Digital out of North Carolina announced Server Design 1, a course that teaches kids 8 to 14 to code, develop apps, and design 3D modeling using Minecraft. It's a $250 a year subscription for your curriculum, your tools, and your hosting. And then today, making the headlines, is that Microsoft has launched, finally, education.minecraft.net, a resource center for educators with updates on programs, camps, lesson plans, etc. A lot of people wondered when Microsoft bought Mojang if they would, in fact, continue the educational push and what the relationship with teacher gaming would be. And Scott, I know this caught your eye, and I know your son is big into Minecraft here. It looks like Microsoft has taken a step down the road.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. And when they bought the game and bought Mojang and paid that incredible sum of money for it, one of the first thoughts I have was they've got a lot of vertical and horizontal movement they can make with this. It isn't just simply, well, let's keep riding the success of a video game and bring in sequels or added content or whatever. It started to become clear that they could do much more with it. And the capacity for that game and for that environment to teach spatial skills and abstract thinking skills. A great example of that was this recent largest, I think, world record holding largest piece of art created in Minecraft was a recreation of the Queen of Blades from StarCraft, a semi sort of famous painting from an artist at Blizzard, but recreated using nothing but Minecraft blocks and created this gigantic, beautiful, pull out a little bit and you wouldn't know the difference between it and the painting sort of mural, just absolutely mind-blowing. It's a very strange kind of abstract thing to do. And Minecraft's got this sort of capacity to be anything from just a simple block builder for young children to something complex and interesting. People building entire computers within Minecraft with functioning, synapses and essentially making rudimentary brains using the simple functions that the game provides. And that range of possibility, kind of just as a game, unless you have the I guess the money and the wherewithal to take it someplace else. And who on this earth, but Microsoft and a few other companies maybe have the wherewithal to do that and make it, mass market, to have the influence you need to get it into schools. I think this is a huge deal, and the fact that they're spearheading this is nothing but good.
The state government in Adelaide, Australia, is funding the Perfect National Park competition using Minecraft. So if you're in grades 4 through 7, they want you to create using something that could actually be implemented. So a park full of cats would not be practical. But they say the prize is a full day's excursion to Bel Air National Park, and they're announcing the winner on July 13th. So that's another example of how you can use Minecraft in ways that aren't even related necessarily to coding. Like, we've got tons of examples of teachers using it to teach coding and, as Scott said, spatial relationships, but you can use it for all kinds of things.
Yeah, it feels like Minecraft is kind of the promise of what Second Life was supposed to be all those years ago. Like, poor old Second Life was far too early and kind of creepy in many ways. Whereas Minecraft kind of came in the other direction. It was something for kids. It was a learning tool. I don't know. It has seemed to have grabbed that second online space. And yeah, I think Scott, you're absolutely right that Microsoft seems to be the perfect kind of patron for this technology. I was really worried that when they purchased Minecraft as well, that I thought it would be neglect. That's what I was worried about when it came to Microsoft purchasing them. But it clearly shows. I think all of these announcements show that Microsoft saw the potential, bought Minecraft for the right reasons, and yeah, it looks amazing. I'd really love to see if they, I'd love to see more of this. I'd love to see, say, Azure. Ways to teach kids how to set up servers, Minecraft servers in Azure, and things like that. I mean,
one of the things you could do, you could take real-world, actual, educational examples and say, we mimic this or model this in Minecraft in some way, and do it in ways kids just light up. And Tom mentioned my son, who's way into it. It's interesting how I've seen him go from young kid who's way into it to now an early teenager who's taking what inspired and moving on to things like building stuff in the Unreal Engine and getting his head around Unity 5 and building models within those worlds and making them move and making rudimentary shooters, and like he wants to go further, and I'm 100% sure that Minecraft played a role in his sort of his little path of inspiration. And you're right about the neglect thing. That was a real fear. They've done it before. They've come in, they swooped in, they buy a big developer, especially in video games. They buy somebody like Rare Software, and then they let Rare just languish and sit there. One of the most important developers in the history of video games doing nothing. They seem to be rectifying that soon, but they've got a history of doing that, buying this stuff out, letting it sit, selling it off, whatever. This is all good news. The fact that they use it as a primary example of how HoloLens can function on stage and otherwise is a sign that they're seeing Minecraft as more than just a game and seeing it as something far bigger than that. So to me, this is all good news. It fits right in with Satya Nadella's kind of new outlook for the company, and it takes them in places that are much less giant, scary corporation and way more, let's help teach kids how to do stuff.
Well, I'm going to rain on the parade a little bit here, and I apologize in advance, but I think that's my job. I bet we're going to get some teachers writing in saying, well, Scott and Peter, we already do that thing that you suggested we should do, and here's an example. And I hope they do, because I want to see those examples. I know when I started researching this story, there's a lot more going on in the educational community with Minecraft than I knew about. And I knew a little bit was going on. But it is widespread. It's been there. It's been doing fine without Microsoft. And that's the fear, is that Microsoft was going to ignore it. Well, today Microsoft started this resource center. That's great. Okay, they're not going to ignore it. But why aren't they mentioning teacher gaming? Why isn't teacher gaming putting this up on their website? Why is teacher gaming having an announcement that goes on the same day as this without any crosstalk? Teacher Gaming's website says they are the authorized Mojang provider, which that said before Microsoft owned Mojang. It says nothing about Microsoft. So I'm skeptical about why these two aren't talking more. Is Microsoft going to undercut them with their own product, which is the old style of Microsoft doing things? And I don't want to see that happen when you have this fantastic resource here. So hopefully this is just something that hasn't been worked out yet, and they'll figure it out.
Yeah, that'd be cool if they approached it like education with hardware. These companies like Apple and Microsoft and others, when schools back in the 80s started to say, well, look, let's get some of these machines in here. We want these in for our curriculum. Nobody was spearheading an educational program at Apple or IBM or anywhere else. This came from that grassroots place, and then they said, you know what? What about mass pricing discounts? What about service contracts? Why don't we make it easier for them to get these in class? What about one iPad per kid? What about an Android tablet for every kid in this class or whatever? So they've jumped on it that way. It'd be really cool if Microsoft did something similar and said, we've got these initiatives, we're putting a bunch of money behind this, but also we're going to make this real easy for teachers to get to use in the ways they want to use it. So I'm with you 100%. That's a fear, but I think they could belay that fear pretty quickly.
Because Minecraft EDU is doing all those things you said, and they've been doing it for years without Microsoft's help because Mojang let Minecraft be open and let people do it, and then gave support only where it was needed. Yeah. And I hope Microsoft will keep that tradition going. Let's see our pick of the day from Nick, who said he was browsing new releases on the Xbox One store and found out there's a new free TuneIn Radio app. While I'm sure the traditional radio content is great, I downloaded the app for Alpha Geek Radio. We didn't talk a lot about Apple Radio. Get some TuneIn Radio. Get some Alpha Geek Radio. He says, with this TuneIn app, I can get Alpha Geek Radio and its great geeky content on my Xbox One, including DTNS. What more could one want?
I agree. It's totally cool. And I've used it and tried it, and it's great. And there's integration with Echo with TuneIn. So I can talk to my Amazon Echo in the kitchen and say, play most recent episode of DTNS, and it will do it.
Wow. Good job, Alexa. play DTNS.
I think we just screwed up a bunch of people that have this on their speakers.
Sorry about that. Send your picks to feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com, and you can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. Okay, all our emails are about Apple Music. Sorry, folks. You guys wrote them. Well, some of you did. Rich from lovely Cleveland, full disclosure, he is a DJ on WRUW Cleveland, a college station, and therefore he says, I have not undue bitterness toward commercial radio. However, he says, I think the reason people are trying to make a big deal out of Beats One is because of the severely deprecated state of terrestrial radio, at least in the U.S. Aside from the usual morning zoo and drive time shock jock, commercial radio has gone to great lengths to take the experience of curation away and make it as mechanical as possible. There are several stations in Cleveland that don't even have DJs, just robot voices telling you the song name and artist between each track. I think there's a really interested audience that wants a curated experience from someone that's enthusiastic or at least good at pretending to be about sharing new and interesting music.
Interesting. Peter, what's your take on this? We talked about on TMS with Tom as well about where radio's at today, that it's kind of stable, at least here in the States, and there is a sense that it's very commercialized and also very automated, but it's kind of holding its own in a weird way. What's your take on the whole state of things that way?
I don't know. I mean, I've got a huge soft spot for Triple J, which is a national radio station down in Australia that is kind of like a college radio. Like, it's got the same kind of vibe, but it's a national station in this. It's supported by the government, but to promote younger Australian bands, and it really has played a large role in shaping the musical taste of this country, and you can really see that when a band becomes popular on Triple J, they become popular in Australia much more than they are sometimes in their home markets, which is a really fascinating thing to watch. So someone like Faith No More, for instance, as a weird, this is my age, but Faith No More would always say when they were out in Australia that they were much bigger here than they were anywhere else in the world because of the support Triple J would give them. So it really is. It's fascinating that radio can have that power, and I kind of miss that. Like, it's been a long time since I've tuned into a radio station, so I am kind of excited to see what Beats One brings to the table. I think the first day was a little bit wonky, as I'm sure some people did when they were listening to some of those callbacks. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here, but. I'm kind of interested to see how it all plays out. Do you guys have a college radio station that is kind of that scope? Is there? I mean, I know about
national. No, I don't think so. There's lots of local ones. There's lots of local independent radio stations, lots of local college radio stations that are similar, but not one that's like across the entire country.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what I think they want Beats One to do, is provide that experience again, or at least get a taste of that back in people's mouths of a curated, human-driven thing. Tom gave a great example this morning, and I think you already talked about it on DTNS, but this idea that you put a little story behind what you're doing with the music, and then the music means a little something more, and you're listening more, and there's a real opportunity there, and not having it interrupted by 15 lawyer commercials and other stupid things that you normally get in a local market makes a big difference. But it is still a little strange. As fascinated as I am with it, it's a little strange to see a world that's moving more and more toward on-demand content of all kinds in subgenres of a million types. I mean, my podcast are examples of that, for sure. And yet here's this thing that's trying to make sure they get as many genres in as they can on a single live radio station that doesn't have anything you can go back to and listen again except songs. You can go back and you can say, oh, I like this song, and save it and put it on a playlist. But you can't go back and hear a conversation the DJ had with somebody. It's a little weird in 2015 that that's a thing. So
I think it's weird, but I think it's kind of it's a natural cycle. In the same way that when everyone started listening to music on their iPods, and suddenly they were only listening to the music they had with them, and kind of in a way locking themselves out of all other sounds in the city. I think that's why podcasting kind of took off as it did in those early years, because people suddenly, after years of just listening to nothing but their iPod, wanted to hear a voice again. And I kind of feel that this is the same thing happening here again, that after years of allowing a computer to create the perfect playlist for you, we're kind of we're almost desperate to get a bit of human interaction again, and a little bit more of curation back into listening to music.
Now, Jemuel wrote in from sunny, sometimes rainy Trinidad and said, more important to me than if Spotify, Rdio, Google Music, Xbox Music, or Apple Music is better than the other is which one is available in Trinidad. So as nice as the debate about which works the best or has the most users today or has the best features, what really matters is availability. Apple Music launched in 100 countries on day one. Before today, if I wanted streaming music, I had no options. I tried using a DNS proxy to get Spotify for a while, but it stopped working. I don't see the rest of the other services going worldwide anytime soon. So even if Apple is not number one in the US, they still might end up with the most users simply because it's available in more places. And he says, side note, the price is cheaper here too, $5.99 US. That's $39 Trinidad. So maybe we should use proxies to subscribe to Trinidad.
One thing real quick in the chat room from that just sort of speaks to this as well is the Fixer, who says, when it comes to Apple Music, I absolutely hate that some of the DJs feel the need to talk over the song, and you get the basic Beats One promo over the music all the time too. If you want to talk about a song, do it before or after, not during. And I would just say, A, I agree, but B, it's also kind of an international style of doing that. Like,
it's also, if you want to hear the songs without talking over them, then listen to your own playlist.
Right.
I guess what the Fixer's saying is he wants to hear the talking, just not over the songs. That's a different style of radio, and that's the problem, right? Somebody else loves that style. They think it's more fun, and waiting until the song is over to talk sounds boring to them. So you can't make one station that fits everybody, because especially when you're talking international, it's not going to work for everybody.
I listen to a lot of house music on like British shoutcast streams, and they do this all the time. And it's at first annoying, but I kind of got used to it. But it also just felt like a flavor of that type of thing. And these are very internationally focused DJs, so it doesn't surprise me.
But bringing it back to Jemuel's point, Peter, are there a lot of competing music services that you have in Australia?
We do now have pretty much everyone that all the majors are down here now. But I do think it is actually a good point. I follow a bunch of guys from India on my Twitter stream, and they were all saying that the Beats subscription price in India is about $2 US a month. And they were really impressed by Apple kind of understanding what their market could afford. So yeah, like I think that is one thing to definitely praise Apple for in this rollout. That sometimes we started the show making fun of how international for Apple sometimes means the Bay Area and a little bit more. But in this particular case, it is they've clearly understood every market that they're launching into. And that's something that only a company as gigantic as Apple could probably pull off.
Finally, Marlon, the guy from Trinidad, wrote in and wanted to share a link that he said, at least at the time, he confirmed it worked. It's a link to the direct HTTPS feed of Beats One Radio that you can use on anything, including an Android phone. Now, I know the Apple Music app is supposed to be coming to Android later this year, but a lot of people have been using this link to be able to listen to it. And Marlon said, what concerns me, what I really want to ask, is this just a bug, or should we be concerned about Apple and security?
Well, no, okay, so right now, ladies and gentlemen, I could do this. Hold on here. Let me just do this. Oh, I won't be able to play. Hold on. Here we go. I could do this right now. Everybody who's smart knows that's AC/DC in the first part of Hell's Bells. Okay, that's Back in Black, one of the best rock and roll albums ever made. Now, if I wanted to, I have the wherewithal, the bandwidth, the hardware, and the software to hit play on that, have an internal playlist, or to play Beats One right now, and pipe that through a million ways of getting it up on a URL, and boom, everyone's got access to my Beats Radio. That's something that I don't think Apple or anybody can control. They can try to shut it down, but isn't that all that's happening here?
No, it's actually simpler than that. This is the actual stream URL that people have figured out from looking at the code somewhere that they've extracted. Because what we forget is that apps really are just kind of super cool web pages in a way, and that's oversimplifying it. Obviously, there's more to apps than just that. But all this Beats One Radio stream is a link to a stream somewhere. And the way the internet was built was to link to stuff. So all that happened, I don't think this is a security issue at all. All that happened is somebody figured out how to get to that link. And all Apple's going to have to do is realize, oh, wait a minute, we need to set some more conditions about when that link can actually be accessed and have an identifier that makes sure it's the actual app if they want to shut it down. But this is actually not a security issue. This is just the internet working the way it's supposed to.
That link, who's iRumble.com? That's what's confusing me, because I think this is just some guy's link to his website or something. Sorry, Peter, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, you may be right about this link. I've seen other ones out there too, though.
Yeah, and we see this, whenever Apple does a live stream, they generally say that you can only watch it in Safari or on an Apple TV. But someone always pulls out the MP4 stream, which is just like you were saying, Tom, just a link that sits on Apple CDN, and you can just grab that and throw that in any browser, and it works. So, this just sounds like a link. That is all it is. It's just a link back.
But even
to
if it's not, Scott's right. I mean, it also is just music, which you can rebroadcast. It's not legal, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, people are going to do it. People hijack streams, and like Periscope is being blamed for all kinds of issues right now, where they're capturing live concert stuff or whatever, and they're not authorized to. Or there's the final episode of Game of Thrones is being periscoped onto some guy's friends list or whatever, and it doesn't look great, but hey, they're still seeing the content, and sadly we are in that time, man. You can find this stuff if you want it.
And T2T2 just put the M3U link into the chat room, so it's not that hard to find, and it's at an apple.com address. Well, that is it for this episode of the Daily Tech News Show. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Peter Wells, for getting up early and starting your day with us. Really appreciate it, man.
Always a pleasure, sir. Always a pleasure. Actually, normally I don't have anything to plug, and finally I do.
Fantastic.
So I've been writing some opinion pieces for the Sydney Morning Herald. So follow me on the Twitters, and I'll share them. I have no idea what I'm doing at the moment because it's weird writing for like a proper newspaper, but it's been fun. It's been terrifying and fun. So yeah, follow me on the Twitters.
Follow him on Twitter, and then look for what is it? smh.com.au.
smh.com.au. Yes.
And
indeed.
look around for a Peter Wells byline. That's fantastic.
Yes, it's been good fun.
That's really exciting. Congrats, man. That's awesome. Scott Johnson can be found at frogpants.com. You can follow him on Twitter, twitter.com/Scott Johnson. I still remember the sushi restaurant I was sitting in the day Scott announced he was changing his Twitter name to Scott Johnson.
Oh, remember that? I was terrified that day.
Yeah, I was in Hawaii freaking out.
Well, it was brave new territory, man. Nobody had done it in our little circle, and I had to take the hit.
Well, you did well with it, and folks should go follow him. Anything else going on you want to let folks know about? I was
afraid that today was going to be Scott's going to push his Kickstarter because he's worried about making it in 30 days, but we funded in the first 18 hours, and we've already hit our first stretch goal. And I just want to say that if people are interested in a compilation book of my near 15-year-old comic I've been doing for the last 15 years, which is redundant, head on over to myextralife.com/book, and you can see all about it. And those listening who have helped, just huge thanks. I'm kind of blown away this week. So
I'm a big fan of the cartoon, and I can say without reservation that I went and backed that Kickstarter definitely to get the book first, and then to help my buddy Scott out second. But my impulse was like, which is the reward level that gets me the book was what I looked for first. So. Right.
Well, I completely appreciate that, and again, thank you to everybody who supported it. It's been a wild ride, but we're excited about it.
Go check it out. It's what is it? myextralife.com/book?
/book. Yep, it'll take you straight to the Kickstarter, give you all the details. There's stretch goals to hit and awesome things to do, so head on over.
All right, folks, I could sit here and I could tell you about all the ways to contact the show. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. Call us 51259-DAILY. Listen to the show live Monday through Friday, Alpha Geek Radio. But I'm not going to do that because you can find it at our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. We're worldwide. We're always on. We're Daily Tech News Show.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Dan Patterson's on tomorrow.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Man, you've got that in your blood, Tom. That is amazing.
I agree. You don't be able to do that. It's just you've always had the DJ, the heart of a DJ, man.
Yeah, and I actually I don't go into my radio voice thing because I feel like it's one of those things that I enjoy more than other people do. So when I find an opportunity to play with it, it is really fun.
Do an on the hour callback for us. Just one.
Do the what?
Like an on the hour callback, so
Just an
back in house
like
and
it's
and the weather and the
219 on the home of rock and roll WPG. You look at it, 70 degrees in Champaign, Illinois today. That was AC/DC Back in Black, which we're going to have on lunch tomorrow with Paul Maloney. Check that out as well. Let's kick it off with another 30 minutes commercial free with the Vinyls on Rock 107 WPGU.
Good Lord.
Love me, say that.
That's crazy.
Hey, that was a good show. What are we going to call it?
I know, there were a lot of suggestions in there.
Oh, yeah. We've got the top vote getter right now from Dr. Payne is Parks and Education, which I really like. T2T2 coming in second with Physical Denial of Surface Attacks.
That's pretty good.
Thwarty Thieves has More Worldwide Than Apple. Then we have Mindcraft from Dark Redeemer. And Fingerless Snapping from Beatmaster. Which I didn't.
Minecraft, what's his name's gig on YouTube? Chad Johnson?
Maybe.
I think it is.
Oh, it's OMG Craft, but does he also do Mindcraft? You may be
A
right.
collective or something called Minecraft?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's part of the...
I may not remember that right, but bring it
How
about.
about Snapping Without Fingers? Yeah, I get it now. Sorry, I missed
Oh,
that.
Snapchat, right.
Right. Oh, Just Another Pretty Facebook.
Good.
Daily Vol News Show.
I love a good Vol metaphor. You should not apologize. That was awesome.
We've also got 40 Thieves with Sacha Mania.
Ah, a spin on the old Satchamania.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then-
Mindcraft, T2T2 says. Never. So we're good. We're safe with Mindcraft. Although somebody must have done that.
Yeah.
Like it's too good not to have been thought of, I would think.
Crafting the Education of Mining. Yeah, I think we've got some getters. We've got some getters in there.
Parks and Education or Physical Denial of Service Attacks are my two favorites out of there. I can go either way.
I like the physical one. I think that's pretty good. T2T2 with the win, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Do we have any
that's a good
objections?
Going
Motion is carried.
I'm going to allow this. Great.
one. Most importantly, have we all seen the trailer for Creed?
Yes. You know what?
Yes.
Why am I so excited about that? I really want to see it now.
I haven't.
Super
No.
excited about it.
It's cool. It's
Why have I not seen that? What happened?
It snuck
Rocky-
out last night.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
the kind of Rocky sequel I give a poop about. I think that's cool.
So it's
gonna
not
be
about the
great.
band?
No. But the band keeps beating it in SEO on YouTube, which is really interesting.
That is interesting.
It looks
So
cool.
yeah, it's super exciting. I'm super excited for it, and not just because my friend's brother is in it. Which
Kind of
is
glad he's not directing it, Sly.
Yeah.
Just act in it and do his thing, and that's good. Oh, spoiler. The trailer's kind of a spoiler if I say that, but yeah, he's in it.
What? It's about Rocky? Oh, spoiler.
The kid, it's the Human Torch and Rocky. In the movie.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the kid from Friday Night Lights, not the Human Torch. Come on.
Actually,
Yo,
the best
Adrian,
part. No,
this
the
guy
best
is a
part
flame.
about it is that his trainer is Avon Barksdale.
Oh.
So we finally answered the question: where's Wallace?
There's Wallace. We found
There
him.
he is. He's with Avon. It's okay.
No, Peter, for real, he's the new Torch. He's the one that's not out.
I know, but yeah, but you know, I don't know. I mean, I just love Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I should give him more credit. He's awesome. Friday Night Lights was.
Oh, dude, Scott Johnson is a big Friday Night Lights fan, Peter.
Yeah.
He's the whole reason that I started watching it, because he sent me the DVDs.
Yeah, still one of the best.
Sent me
That's marriage on
DVDs. That's the
television.
lengths he went to get me to watch.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Anything you want Tom to see, just send him DVDs. That's it.
It's
Yeah.
like, wow.
Friday Night Lights is the
Physical
absolute
copies.
best ever portrayal of a marriage on television.
Oh, I
Oh yeah.
not disagree.
Just the best thing ever.
So
Also,
So now, if you watch Nashville and Deadline at the same time, you kind of get.
I can't. It's just too painful. Somewhere out there, Coach and Mrs. Coach are living on the East
Coach
Coast.
Taylor.
Having a great
Yep.
time.
Yeah.
Coach and Mrs. Coach.
I love that it's Coach and Mrs. Coach. Yeah, that is the greatest thing ever.
I want to watch it again. I'm supposed to watch The West Wing again.
Oh no! How about there's nothing on TV. Let's all have a summer watch-a-fest.
Did you give up
You
on?
know, actually,
I never
I've
started
never actually
The
watched
Leftovers.
all of
I just
Friday Night
I
Lights.
just couldn't do it.
Bring
Couldn't do it.
All right.
I want to let it stand as I am. I have failed The Leftovers because you know what it was? I went to see the trailer for the new season. I was like, if the trailer for the new season excites me, I will watch The Leftovers. And then I saw it. I was like, this is still boring, and I couldn't do it.
You know what Eileen's been watching is Grace and Frankie on Netflix.
Oh, my wife.
It's really good.
Yeah, she just thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah, my wife loves.
We have an upcoming episode of Tell It Anyway featuring a writer from Grace and Frankie.
Oh, very cool.
Cool.
Good friend of ours.
TellItAnyway.com. Go subscribe now. Don't miss that episode.
TellItAnyway.com.
Will it be
If I
all?
can ever get around it.
It'll be all about
editing.
Lily Tomlin as a national treasure. Is that what it'll be about?
No, but there will be a Jane Fonda anecdote. How about that?
Okay.
Well, my work here is done then.
Oh, and a Martin Sheen anecdote.
Oh, wow.
God, he was in.
Yeah.
You really are missing out if you don't subscribe. I'm just saying.
And an Elaine Stritch story that's possibly my favorite thing I've ever heard.
Wow.
Yeah, this is going to be a good episode. I just got to edit it.
Peter, are you subscribed to Tell It Anyway?
I will do that right now.
Right.
You'll like it. It's good.
It is really good. One of my favorites.
Out of it.
It has its weeks.
I love it when there are things that I try out or I listen to because they're friends of mine, and I don't necessarily think, I'm not trying to say they're bad, but I just like, okay, that's really good, and they don't hook me. But The Instant, Tell It Anyway, Ask Veronica, they are all things I look forward to every week.
Yeah.
Like, you guys could even stop being on them, and I think, well, they probably would fall apart. But it's not because I know you. It's because I really just like the show.
Yeah, that is the nice thing about having friends like this is we all actually really like things each other does.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just in it for the, I don't know.
I mean, that Current Geek show you do, I can't stand listening.
Oh, man. That Current Geek show, I love.
It's like a rotting vole in the window well.
It's good writing. I'll give it that. But
I don't even know what a vole is. What the hell?
It's like a fat mouse. It's like a mouse mixed with like a mouse and a groundhog.
it's a really English word for a rodent. Like
kind of like a possum.
very British.
They suck because they make tunnels in your lawn and stuff like that. They're terrible creatures, but they're also kind of cute. And this one that died, I feel bad. He's just laying there.
Fair enough. Well, see that big white light there in the background?
That's
The sun.
Yeah, that means the sun's come up, so that means I should probably go to work. So bye.
Go enjoy the Friday sun.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on the show.
I gotta.
Yeah, thank you,
Don't worry.
Peter, as always, man.
Yeah.
Always great fun. Bye.
Cheers.
Love me, say that you love. Oh, I have to do show notes. They're so
Coming out of
Roger
another
here.
30-minute rock block.
Shit. Because I was worried about show notes. I'm so used to not doing them now that I forgot. So hold on.
Yeah.
I
It's
will.
funny how habits
Funny
change.
how that happens.
I think I hear Martin Sheen's voice upstairs. Another Grace and Frankie must be spinning.
Okay. What was I looking for? Oh, the show notes.
The home of rock and roll.
Oh, speaking of FSL, are you requiring assistance in any way?
I don't think so for this
Okay.
set, but we will be. In fact, Justin and I have got to hash that out. We're flying by the seat of our pants a little bit right now because of both our schedules. But yeah, our intention is to need particular help on episodes, but also to do another call-on episode.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know and let Matt know and things like that.
And you have access to that doc, so if you ever
I
just
do.
want to go in and come up with something and send it to us, that's Hammond. You know Hammond, Scott. Hammond's been doing that. He's just been sending me calls. I think you met Hammond at Nerdtacular last year.
It is entirely possible. I'm sorry, Hammond. I I don't remember anything anymore.
It happens.
Memory is gone.
What's gone?
My memory.
Oh,
Memory is gone.
I don't know what that is. I can't remember.
What? Who are you? What are we talking about?
So Scott left. Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Scott
Oh,
left.
Scott did the he went out with Peter Wells. They went out
Okay.
together in a blazing
They're going out
blaze
together?
of glory.
Okay. He's a busy guy. He's got stuff to do.
Busy guy. Got stuff to do.
Places to
Today's-
be. I'm just waiting for SoundCloud to process the track, and then I'm done.
That's all right. I'm really behind on show notes, so that's okay.
Oh.
Let's see. What else have we got going on? What have we got?
It's July 1st. Thanks, bosses.
Oh, thank you, bosses. Super appreciate that.
Also, I confused some people when I was saying that the YouTube channel moved to Daily Tech News Show. Some people are like, so how do I get that as a podcast? If you're getting this as a podcast, first of all, it's because Sean does it, and he's awesome. It's unofficial. And second of all, you don't have to do anything. We didn't move the podcast. We only moved the YouTube channel. But the YouTube channel did move. And so, yeah, I think I would confuse people when I said, so if you want to get it faster, you go to Daily Tech News Show. And so the podcast people are like, oh, I can get it faster? Like, well, no, you can only get it faster YouTube style, not podcast style, sadly.
I updated our About page a little bit.
I updated it too.
Yeah.
I changed the YouTube links.
Yeah, you did that. I went in to do that, and then I saw you already did that, and so I did something else.
Okay, good.
I just
hoping
updated.
we didn't
No.
like
Cross
change.
streams.
Right.
I did like a couple of updates on who our people are, but I think that that we could use a little fresher on that page. Like if our people want to go in there and do their bios properly, I guess that's an option. They could just send it to me. I'm going to put that in Slack.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Veronica Belmont, host of Buzz Out Loud. Yeah, it's kind of dated.
Yeah, it's kind of dated.
We need to update that.
It's not
Veronica
even-
Belmont, student at Emerson College and intern at ZDNet. What? That's not right.
Let's see what else.
I don't know why SoundCloud is taking forever, but it's taking forever.
Right now, it's a really good time for trailers, which is exciting. Have you noticed there's just like so many good trailers out because it's starting to become Oscar movie trailer time?
Oh, is that right? Is that why?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Oh, sorry. I was making noise. I've got some. Here, I'll plug that in. You want to hear a little tease? I'll do a little FSL tease.
Oh, yeah.
Out of context, I'll give you two things that will be on upcoming episodes of FSL. This is time travel. If you don't know FSL Tonight, it's a weekly sports show. Why is that not working? Come on. All right, hold on. Whoa! Oh, that actually worked more than I thought. I have 7 million versions of this now. Well, that's interesting. It's a weekly sports show covering a fantasy and science fiction sports league. The Ponyville Phillies are a team. The Cheyenne Mountain Gators are a team. The New York Avengers, for instance, are a team. Mm-hmm. How would you describe it, Jenny?
I would describe it as a FSL Tonight is a SportsCenter-like wrap-up for teams in a league of their own. Fantasy team leagues.
Right. Not
real
in a,
teams.
Not in a league of their own Madonna kind of way.
Yeah.
But
no, that would not be good.
different.
Although they might make it someday. And so it's essentially a recap of a very serious league of an unspecified game that has rules.
They play sports.
They play sports. They play a sport. Mm-hmm. And Tom and Justin follow them and keep you updated on everything that they do. And it's all quite smart.
All right, so here's one thing.
This is the best shot I'll ever have.
Oh, so exciting.
And here's another thing.
I'm the one and only Rainbow Dash, and this is my minute.
That's awesome.
So there you go. Just a couple of teases. Yes, fantasy has soared. Not so much fantasy as in football, although a little bit. A little bit. And that is it. So I hear that Patreon is having some issues processing some people's pledges. They say they can't process a pledge even though the information is up to date. I will try to find out from them what's happening, because I am as interested in you in that working. And so just what I would say is I've had things where Patreon's had a bug, and Tyler and Sean and all those guys have been great at just getting on it and fixing it and making it right as soon as possible. So I will keep you updated. But if you are getting an alert saying there's a problem with your pledge, just let them know that you got it, as I'm sure most of you have, and then hang in there for a couple of days and see if they get it resolved. My guess is that they will. So anyway, apologies for that, and thank you for your support. Stay tuned, because coming up is, what is coming up?
Oh, today is it Dear Veronica and also Roberto's show, My So-Called 8-Bit Life.
Oh, right. Right after another 30-minute rock block, starting off with Delight.